Greetings, GameCola faithful, and welcome to the GameCola podcast. This is podcast number 100.
Ba-ba-da-ba!
We did it.
Woo!
We've arrived. We've made it. We are living in the future now. This is podcast number 100.
Does that mean we get syndication?
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, don't they only need like 65 episodes or something? Isn't that like
I don't know how it works with podcasts.
Oh, but yes, we are here. We have made it, and for this portion of the podcast, we will be reliving the days of my podcast commandership.
This is where we reveal that podcast 100 is actually just a clip show from all of the previous podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
That would be hilarious.
Yes.
I'd love to see that.
Joe was lazy, so he just threw together a bunch of previously our
Especially if you don't
hits.
care. You're just like grab them randomly. It's like, all right, let's grab 503 to 657 from this podcast.
No,
and...
even better. Have somebody talking and posing a question, and then pull a completely out of context answer from somebody else.
Yes.
Podcast mashup. Why is no one doing that? You know, it'd probably turn out like when you play Dark Side of the Moon over top of another movie or something like The Land Before Time.
Yes.
And like, you know, parts of it sync up like amazing, like Littlefoot comes out just as like a awesome guitar riff goes, but for the most part it doesn't make a lick of sense and you're just kind of waiting for something funny to happen. And it won't. It probably won't.
We haven't even introduced ourselves yet.
Oh yeah. So with me today I have Nathaniel Hoover and Mike Ridgaway. Everyone introduce yourselves.
Which one am I?
I think you're Michael Gray.
But now I'm extra confused. He wasn't even announced in the list of people to be on here.
Well then who are you?
Special
Maybe
surprise
Diana
guest.
Gray?
Diana Gray, sure. She's a podcast
Or
writer.
Anna Bernarski, or...
Yeah. Well, I think they're in Joe's part of the podcast.
Oh, okay. Can I be in Joe's podcast?
Well, I'm Jeddy. I am the one who runs GameCola and hosts these podcasts. Good to see you again.
Not anymore. I don't know if you know, but Joseph Martin took over the podcast for me.
Well, I am obviously out of the loop, which is so weird considering I run GameCola.
That is definitely who you are. I'm Mike Ridgaway. I used to be an active member on GameCola. I used to write things and attend RPG casts. But as of late, I am too busy with my child, I believe.
Yeah, you had a kid and it ruined everything.
Yeah.
Way to go, Cass.
Okay, so now Michael Gray.
Wait, are we talking a real child or a figurative child?
Real child.
A real figurative child?
A real child.
Man, I am so out of the loop here.
Your wife sent us baby clothes.
So, yeah, I'm Nathaniel Gray Hoover, Michael Bernarski, turfing man, dude, person, rich. Yeah. So anyhow, I used to edit articles for GameCola. There's going to be a lot of has-beens on this podcast.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's the point?
Aren't we all has-beens?
Just has-beens waiting to happen.
We're more like never-weres, really.
I was a could-have-been, but yeah, so I used to edit articles and write in every corner of the site, all different article categories, and YouTube administrator, and did some videos for a while, and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. No, we had some good times on the old Coley, ye oldie gamey Coley, as we used to call it back in the day, in the good old days.
Before spelling.
Well, yeah, it was back when Paul ran the site. But
Hey,
just kidding, Paul. Don't worry.
you think he listens to this?
He does. We do talk regularly, and he does inform me of when he listens to things and comments on them. So,
for the newcomers, this is completely an authentic experience for our era of podcast, making fun of Paul Franzen when he's not here.
Yeah. And when I'm not on the podcast, or just making fun of Paul, anytime, anywhere.
And who's our other one on the podcast? Or did we introduce ourselves all already?
I think that's all of us.
I think there's only 3 of us. I think we got it.
But what about Christian Porter? Isn't one of you Christian Porter?
He's on the Michael Gray podcast.
Oh, can I be on the Michael Gray podcast?
Along with Paul Franzen.
But we did try to get some of our fellow...
Are we the C-listers?
Yeah, I think so.
Here?
We tried to get other people on board, right? And we didn't get responses or some such?
Yeah, well, either they were unavailable or, I didn't just hear back from them at all. So I did reach out to many. Some for the Michael Gray show, some for the Jeddy show. It's surprisingly difficult to contact some of these old GameCola people.
So, Michael, we're not only the C-listers, we're the dregs.
Yeah, we're like the Dancing with the Stars of GameCola right here.
You guys were at the top of my list. Don't worry.
You mean the top of the list that you got from the email blast is just like, hey, does anyone want to do this?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is a solid, classic GameCola crew. I mean, it might have been nice to have a third person just to kind of fill it out a bit, but...
But we have so many other people already here.
Yeah, didn't we say we had Anna Bernarski and Michael Gray?
And so many others.
All here on the podcast.
Casting some pots.
Yep.
This is also like old times where we just run out of stuff to talk about before we even started.
Well, we can talk about something. We could talk about something definite, like...
We could talk about Nickelodeon's Doug.
I hate that show with a passion. I'm not even, trying to, work up anyone just for giggles. I hate that show. I hate Doug. I just want to punch him in his dumb big nose. And his whole Quail Man thing, that's so goddamn lame. God, no. He probably just wears his underwear on the outside so no one will give him wedgies anymore because he's so goddamn lame. God, and what's with all the different colors in that town? Like, Roger Klotz has jaundice, or gangrene, right? Right? And Mr. Dink is purple? That ain't right. He's eating too many blueberries. He's friggin' Veruca Salt. His uncle, who also ate candy, maybe. I don't know. But I hate it. I hate it so much. That whole oh, we're teenagers and I'm awkward and I love Patty Mayonnaise even though, I barely know her, and I'm just a dumb teenager, and my sister's a beatnik for some reason. A beatnik! Who the hell thought that was a good idea for a show? God damn, I hate Doug. Ugh!
I'm pretty sure Michael is too hip to be part of this group of people who actually related to Doug, because that was sort of my childhood.
It's fine. It's fine. You can enjoy Doug. Just know that I hate everything about it. And now I hate you a little bit because that's something. Now it's part of you.
So now it really is like an old-timey GameCola podcast where there's an awkward silence and then we talk about Nicktoons.
No, and then we get insulted.
And Mike Ridgaway goes on a rant. Okay, this podcast is done. We've completed our mission.
We've got through the checklist.
Yeah.
All right, awkward silence, check.
I haven't talked about Mega Man yet. We can't stop.
That's true. Or Phoenix Wright. We haven't talked about Phoenix Wright.
Yeah.
Well, the three of us don't need to talk about Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, if we had Paul or Michael Gray, maybe. Diana Gray. Definitely.
It's true. One of us could pretend to be them. I'm Paul. I have a weird beard.
A prize-winning beard.
It's true.
Did it win a prize?
Yes. In fact, hold on. Oh man, where is it? I have it somewhere on the site. I was just looking at it. I believe... Okay, this is not going on the podcast because it's a secret to everybody. Here we go. Got this for you.
Are you pasting it in the Skype thing?
I am. You don't have to listen to the podcast, but you can look at the GIF.
It's a pretty great GIF. Everyone at home, just imagine a really good GIF. You'll be right there with us.
There's animation, but anyway.
Is this let's just go up?
Wait, no, this is from ages ago. Actually, was that from when?
Last year.
Well, hold on. Maybe that wasn't the time that he got his beard, because his beard is so short in this image.
All right, can we just tell people what we're looking at, because this feels dumb.
I think we're going to cut this whole section out of the podcast.
Or we can just leave it in and just describe that there is Paul Franzen with his hand over his heart in front of the multicolor American flag, and it says, "Hail to the Chief," with fireworks in the background, and sparkles...
And Chief is on fire.
The
word Chief is on fire.
Is on fire.
But now you've ruined it for everyone.
Paul's got a tiara and flashing shutter shades. It's pretty good, and it's the super secret hidden podcast. Is it really hidden? Do you have to click on a dumb little thing on the?
Yeah, there was. There was a word that was you couldn't tell it was clickable, but you could click on it and it was the link.
And it was fun implementing that hidden link on the YouTube port of that podcast because we do have that Easter egg in the YouTube version of that podcast.
Wow, we're living in the future.
I know.
So I got something.
Yes?
How have things changed since you did your first GameCola podcast?
Joe took over.
Well, isn't that boring?
I don't have to do it anymore. I have a lot more free time now. But
isn't that great?
I don't know. Actually, I guess... it is interesting, I guess, looking at it from the outside now that I just get to listen to them and occasionally participate without, having to worry about scheduling and editing and all that. So I guess it's curious to me to sort of see, I guess, how it's naturally developed, that we've sort of built on our, achievements and failures and sort of whittled it down into sort of a nice, I don't know, I feel like things have improved over time.
I agree with that. All of the different eras of podcasts, they've all got their own unique charm to them. And it's funny to see how, looking back at the very, very earliest ones, you wouldn't even recognize the first 10 or 15 in the context of all of the podcasts we've done since then.
Oh God, they were terrible.
Some of them were entertaining though. But there were some ones that were rough around the edges, shall we say.
Listen, I did the editing. They were terrible.
Well, and I know that a couple of my first ones, like the Mega Man podcast, I would have loved to have done later on after I had found my footing for that, because I had done, acting before. I think at that point that was around when I started to do YouTube recording. I can't remember which exactly came first, but it was around that same time. But I had started to get a feel for this whole internet recording thing, and had still wanted a little more time to sort of get into the groove, get to know the people I was podcasting with, build a rapport, that kind of thing. But it's been interesting to watch it grow, because when Jeddy took over, there was more of a structure to it. But when Michael took over, but especially when Jeddy took over, we just kept getting more and more structure to it. And then as that went over time, we started to develop into topics and staying on topic and having things having to do with video games. Yeah, occasionally. And then much, much later, getting people on board who were actually qualified to talk about the topics we had selected. Because I can't tell you how many times I jumped on a podcast. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm free tonight. They're like, 3D games.
Yes,
I'm like,
yes, that's always, 3D podcast 33.
Yep. Nintendo Direct, what some of the other ones, On Live. There's a whole bunch. Anytime that I'm ever yes, I'm so gung-ho for podcasts. We're talking about something you can't speak to, which is basically anything that's not Mega Man, but still.
So, there is one thing that I noticed specifically when you mentioned earliest podcasts, as opposed to the ones of today. Simply microphone quality.
That's, yeah.
I mean, I think that's a natural progression of technology just over the past 7 years or something.
Yeah. I mean, I got a headset now. It's how did I ever think it was okay to podcast with an omnidirectional mic? That was a terrible idea. Although I guess it worked well enough that one time we had Paul and Lizzo and Matt Gardner over, and we all played that Charm City Girls game. Or City Charm, I forget what it was. It was a game that we got a very nice message from. It was actually a pretty well built party game for the DS, like Mario Party.
Yeah.
And we got into it. It was pretty well made, and as I recall, one of the devs who worked on that game contacted us and was just like, hey, I listened to your podcast and, I was really happy to hear you guys, like, getting into it. Like, we know what it is, but, we do work on it and, like, try to actually make a decent game. So they really appreciated that we had some fun with it. And we're pretty... We recommended it. Like, if you want a party game and you're not, like, super insecure about your masculinity, yeah, go ahead and play it.
Would have loved to have had a video component of that one.
That would have been great. It was
as much as I did enjoy seeing the pictures filter through of all the people, so we know what they look like.
Yeah.
This was before that era.
Yeah. Well, that's what we could have done. We could have done a video podcast and just have us kind of all awkwardly stare into space in our different quadrants.
Yeah, that's always weird, and I don't care for it.
I've gotten into live streaming in the last half a year or so, and I know a lot of people who live stream have their webcam focused on them as they're playing, and they're up in the corner. And part of me appreciates the being able to see their visceral reactions to things, but part of me also thinks, I'm watching the game. I don't really need to see this person's nose the whole time.
Yeah, I do I've been on like some podcasts here in Baltimore where it's like 3 or 4 of us in a room, and you talk to people that way, and you actually they work really well because you get a good rapport with people. But man, I've never got into like the Let's Plays, and that's something that I just don't comprehend about. Maybe it's a generational thing, but for me, they don't do anything for me. So Nathaniel, you do them, but do you watch any other ones?
No, honestly, I don't. I'm on YouTube, but I'm not on YouTube.
Right.
I've got so many things that I want to do with my life, and I only really got into making videos because Michael Gray was playing some Mega Man. I'm like, I could do that, and so I did that, and then it became this thing, and I'm still doing it now. You wouldn't know it from the fact that I don't upload, nearly often enough, which is part of why I got into live streaming too, so that I have more regular content to fill in while I'm working on the big things that everybody knows me for. And it's been a little bit challenging because as much fun as I have playing the games, and especially doing all of the goofing around and the different things that I do with my Mega Man videos, and if you're unfamiliar with my work, I'm Gemini Laser on YouTube, Flashman85 on Twitch, and I really enjoy trying new things that maybe people haven't seen before. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I've enjoyed being a part of GameCola, because we do things that nobody else does, and we celebrate that. And being able to play and find all those little secrets that people don't know about and that kind of thing, that's fun, but it's a tremendous amount of work for me because I'm a writer. I like to take my time and formulate my thoughts and edit things on paper or virtual paper. But recording, I'll sit down. I've got the kind of personality, my dad worked in radio for 25 years. I picked up a little bit of that. So, I've got some sort of stage presence. I'm very happy to be in front of a microphone. But the whole process of practicing the playing, because I don't just let's play and then record a video. I actually do the stages again and again until I get the kind of result that I want. And doing that kind of practice to polish it to where I want it to be, and then plotting out what I want to say for the commentary, and then doing the editing to make it sound decent, and then listening to it, I'm like, that didn't come out the way I wanted it to. And then just pushing myself to higher and higher standards as more and more people are watching these videos and coming to expect a certain level of quality when I make these things. It's just gotten harder and harder and harder to get the energy together to find the time to work on these kinds of things. And it's completely different from how most of the other people in the Let's Play community are doing it, who are just sitting down and playing a game, and whatever comes out is what comes out.
It sounds like you've built your own personal hell.
I kind of have. But it's still enjoyable. When I actually do produce a new video. When I do produce a new video, it's great because I love the I love the interactions with the people. A lot of people, they'll make it for the money or they'll make it because they just like playing the game. But I really enjoy the crowd interaction that I get because I've somehow managed to cultivate a really excellent group of followers who speak in complete sentences and are generally pretty thoughtful and polite. And
there are people that do that on the internet?
Yeah, I know. It's really cool to interact with them.
I don't. Yeah, I do podcast stuff here in Baltimore with my dumb friends, and I do a little bit of live performing these days. Not a whole lot, but I find that really invigorating because I like being on a stage and seeing the crowd out there, and I'm usually pretty terrible, but I try, and people are nice enough to clap for me.
But what I've found is that there is certainly a crowd for impressive gameplay. Like, people love their perfect runs and, all of the 100% completion and speed runs and things like that. But as long as it's entertaining, it really doesn't matter how much you're messing up and how terrible you are at the game. It's just making it entertaining in some capacity that matters. Unlike all of my sentences in this podcast that just end with people being like, yeah, that was a sentence.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on. Yeah, and as far as games go, it's like I used to do a lot of stuff for MagFest, the Music and Gaming Festival, and that was like a whole thing. It's like, oh yeah, this is the gamer part of my life, and doing all that stuff. And then I got really sick of the community and the extra work. It sort of kind of had like a breakdown at the last MagFest where I was just like, I couldn't take it anymore, and I just rage quit right in the middle of it, which was bad yet satisfying on a number of levels. And so I've kind of gotten away from that. And so I'm here in my basement right now, and I'm surrounded by video game crap, and I love it. But I'm very, if people want to talk to me about video games and be like, hey Mike, what's your opinion on this? And just have that conversation. I love that. But a lot of the interactions I got before, or, I'll see online, are people who are just seem really obsessed in a level beyond that I'm comfortable with. And that's like the whole MagFest crowd, where it's like, oh, I love video games. Oh, I love everything about Legend of Zelda. And I was like, oh, I'm only 17. I'm just like, no, that does not compute for me. So, I don't know. I'm an old fuddy-duddy, elitist, snob, whatever. I forget why I'm talking about this. But, kids these days, I don't understand them.
Shake your fist.
I don't care to understand them. Everything, I thought I knew what was cool once, but then everything that was cool became weird, and it scares me.
I had this terrible realization maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So my wife and I just moved. We packed up our moon base and we relocated. And as we've been unpacking stuff, we're in a smaller place than we were before. And there's not as much room to conveniently put all of our geekery on display. And we have a good amount of geekery, mind you.
You do have a good amount of geekery.
Yeah, and you've been to my place, or the old place. Yeah. So you've seen it firsthand.
It was lovely. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to visit you guys again. It's just, baby.
So my confusion up front, I thought for some reason Jeddy had a baby. That was the confusion. I know you had a kid.
No.
Oh.
That would be confusing and surprising.
By the way, check your doorstep, Jeddy, just in case.
Yeah. No secret trysts one night in Tijuana. A little Jeddy maybe waiting for you somewhere.
Yes, not quite.
So, putting geekery on display, and yeah, transitions are great, aren't they? We're in this smaller place and we're trying to figure out what to put up because there's only so many walls, and we have less shelving space available to us than before. And all of a sudden, we're figuring out, maybe we don't need to have that action figure on display. Maybe we can keep the poster of this video game thing down. And as I'm sorting through what is truly essential in my life now, and the things that I'm going to use and want to look at often, for whatever reason, I'm kind of looking back at my video game stuff, and I'm like, I like having all of those games on display, but in this new place, all of my video games have been put into a built-in drawer in the wall. And so you just pull out the drawer and there's all your NES games. So I don't even get to look at them on display anymore. Mm. And I have all of my Mega Man X action figures. They're really fancy ones, like the incredibly huge Sigma and the fancy Zero and the Vile and the X. And they had their own shelf previously, but now they're just sitting in front of the comic books because that's where they fit. And I'd been playing some games since the move, and hadn't been playing as much because I hadn't had the time. I was unpacking things. I was going to the DMV. I was going back to Lowe's and Home Depot time and time again for all the random stuff that we needed, and just always running errands and doing things, not having as much time to play games. And so I get back and start to play it, and then I'm getting into games. I'm like, well, I'm playing this because it's in my backlog, because I bought it at some point or it was a gift to me and I feel obligated to play it. But as I'm getting into it a little bit, I don't know if I really want to play this anymore. And I've talked about the backloggery on these podcasts and on the site before. And I used to love keeping track of my progress through my incredible video game backlog and marking every time I beat a game, marking every time I completed a game, mastered a game, whatever. And then I finally snapped after playing the Gradius Collection version of Gradius 3, which is only designed to steal your quarters in the arcade. It is not an actually well-designed game for real people to play. And I'm on the easiest difficulty setting. And I got to the very end. I'm 7 seconds from the end of the game, and I just keep dying in the same stupid little corridor right before the you win screen. And I can't do it. And I gave up right there. I'm like, I am never going to be able to mark this game as beat, let alone complete. And what about all of those other games that I've just had sitting on there that I'm like, I know I kinda could finish them if I wanted to spend the next 5 weeks practicing enough to beat this final boss that I can't beat, or whatever. And right. It occurred to me, this is no longer serving the function that I want it to anymore. It's just been this millstone around my neck of I have to beat these games that I bought for some reason. And so I completely revamped how I'm curating my backloggery, and all of a sudden I no longer feel this obligation to play the games that I don't really love anymore. I'll play it as long as it's entertaining, and as soon as that starts to fizzle at all, I'm ready to just chuck it and move on to the next one. And all of a sudden, gaming just isn't the exciting, bountiful land of entertainment that it used to be. It's, wow, look at all these games that I spent money on, and what could I have done with that money instead? And what could I have done with all of that time that I've sunk into these things? And so I don't know, I feel almost like I'm kind of falling out of love with gaming, or not as much of a gamer as I used to be. I don't know, man, it's weird.
Well,
that was my thing.
Well, we all get to different places in our life, and I think this is probably a good forum to talk about getting to different places in your life, considering Nathaniel, you and I have moved on from GameCola. Jeddy, you've passed the reins on to Joe. There's nothing wrong with falling out of love with, something that you used to be super into. Especially like if you're not getting a whole lot of enjoyment out of it. I like I said, I am here surrounded by all my video game stuff, but I'm also very big into like going to yard sales. And so these are all like little victories for me as well. And I still have like the core of my collection, which is like my old Super Nintendo stuff, and like it's the best stuff. Like Earthbound, Final Fantasy VI, Mega Man X. It's like they're really good games. And there's a lot of games out there that I can look at and think, oh, that looks interesting. I really want to play that at some point. And I'm, telling myself I will at least try it at some point. But, I might not play it all the way through. I might not beat it. But also for me, it's like I've got this space now, and I also think of it as a bit of a library. So like I said before, like if people will come up and ask my opinion on a game, or like it's like, hey Mike, I want to play something really weird in Japanese, it's like, oh well, here you can borrow my copy of Mr. Mosquito. So I kind of like having that aspect to it as well, where it's just like, yeah, I'm the video game guy, and I don't need to be playing them constantly, but I also am a type of a person that will anthropomorphize things a little bit. And so, like, if I play a game and I have a really good time playing that game, I kind of feel like I've invested some feelings in it enough that, like, you know, maybe I should hold on to it, not just throw it away. And I mean, that's just me, though. Like I said, I invest feelings in things like that because I am naturally a pack rat. So I think it's just a symptom of my pack rattiness.
I'm also a pack rat, but I've moved enough times that I've started to get over that. And so
that's fair.
You know, at this point, all I really want or need, give me a television, give me my computer, give me a little bit of furniture, you know, a couch, a table, give me, you know, food, refrigerator, you know, stocked pantry, and my Star Trek official starships collection and some place to display them. Give me a couple of video games. Give me a couple of video games that I'm particularly fond of, you know, small handful, and the systems to play them. Couple of books, couple of comics, clothes, maybe. You know, optional, and that's really all I need. You know, I can fit, honestly, I can fit everything that I truly want that isn't a bed in my car. And everything beyond that is just, you know, extra bonus stuff. And as we were unpacking thing after thing after thing, I keep looking at these, I'm like, not just video games, stuff in general of, do I really need this anymore? So I'm getting to that point in my life where I'm really looking around and I'm thinking, whoa, where did I accumulate all of this from?
Got to trim that fat, Nathaniel.
Oh yeah,
cut it out of your life. No, I will tell you, you know, it's a fun game and will definitely keep you busy and fit. Having things you care about and a toddler. It is a constant struggle. They are little balls of destruction, pain. Connor likes to headbutt people. He likes to kick me in the junk. Oh. He's like not maliciously. They kick and they wiggle and they flail.
He's at that height.
Yeah, he's at that height. Like I pick him up to hug him, and you know if he's feeling flaily, he'll just go off and just wail on my junk. It's terrible.
Work up.
I'm thinking about it. He'd probably just find some way around it. They're crafty. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, for anyone that's still listening to this, you will grow up.
I'm certainly not.
Yeah. You will grow up, everything you once loved, you will love no more. Your life will be overrun by the banality of everyday life, and you will find yourself wondering what you could have done instead of doing the things that you don't care about anymore. Well, this has been the GameCola podcast.
Thank you, everyone.
Motivational
this is podcast
speech
100.
if ever there was one.
Yeah.
Also, I've gotten big into nihilism, so, you know, that's something I've done.
I will say, though, with my time on the GameCola podcast in particular, but also writing on the site with some of the all-staff stuff and getting to know people through their writing, I have made a lot of friends here. I've been to people's weddings, multiple weddings have involved GameCola people here, and it's been pretty cool.
I went to your wedding, and I went to Paul's wedding. Those were both lovely. Although, you know, can I tell you, Nathaniel, the main thing I remember about your wedding?
No.
Getting to, like, the church a little early and being super hungry and finding this little hot dog place right across the street that was, like, just like almost the size of just a normal, like, kitchen almost. And I just, when it's like, what kind of hot dog you want? It's like, I'll take that, and I'll get chili on it. And they're like, here you go. And it's like $2. It was like, hell yeah, pre-wedding hot dog. It's great. I'm sure the ceremony was lovely. I'm sure I had a lovely time at the reception, but God, for some reason that the hot dog just sticks out in my mind.
I'm actually kind of proud that a hot dog was the most memorable part of my wedding.
You tell Shannon I said that too. So yeah.
I do feel that I've missed out on some things by being so distant down in Florida.
You're in Florida? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, so am I.
Seen anyone get their face eaten off lately?
Oh,
yes, actually, that happened like a month ago. Because you're probably thinking of the one from like several years ago, but no, that actually happened like a couple months ago. Again. Just happens sometimes.
I'm gonna take this opportunity to lean over and turn on my fan and drown away all the unhappy thoughts.
Actually,
otherwise known as Florida thoughts.
Yes, I actually plan on moving to Boston sometime. Yeah, sometime in the next 6 months to a year. So
delightful. It's a lovely city.
Hopefully.
Wait, where are we going?
Boston.
Boston? Boston or Austin?
Boston. Vaguely near GameCola people. Vaguely.
That's a place I could visit. We could meet halfway somewhere. Like the Atlantic Ocean.
I have been talking to Paul about like what would be the optimal location for having like a GameCola meet, being that we're all vaguely New England area. Except
for those of us who aren't.
Well, yes, but
who are in Old England area, for example,
or the South. Technically, I'm in the South, I guess.
Well, I'm thinking of was it Joe? He's in Georgia, or I think he's
Georgia.
That's the South.
Yeah, but
I'm Mid-Atlantic. Mid-Atlantic's a better term for where I am.
I have no idea. For me, the entire country is distant. Like, it takes like 6 hours just to get out of Florida. Like, there's no escape.
I'm pretty sure that's the state motto. Florida, there's no escape.
So, a thing about losing interest in video games, I think part of it, see, when I think back to how things were when I was playing video games as but a youth, there wasn't a lot to choose from, honestly. You know, I could play Dragon Warrior again and not be missing out on too much because the only games released were, Dragon Warrior, Final Fantasy II, Secret of Mana, and like at that moment, what other choice did I have? Sure, let's play Dragon Warrior again. But now, why would I ever play Dragon Warrior again when I have several thousand games on Steam that I could choose from that are all likely, at least marginally better than Dragon Warrior.
Well, you play it again because they've remastered it for the umpteenth time.
Yeah. And
I mean, that's the other thing. Like, we're at a point in history where, well, I mean, it's always getting more where there's more good games out there if you even stretch all the way back to Atari era or Nintendo era.
Well,
they're just there.
Not even good games, just games. The market is oversaturated now.
Oh, completely.
And it can be difficult to tell what's popular and what's actually good.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you're going to take No Man's Sky, for example. I mean, you see this every time there's, supposed to be the new, basically, Jesus of gaming, that meets no one's expectations. And fanboys and everyone get super upset because this game that was supposed to be their everything is not, because how could it be? It's a game. And I mean, hell, with No Man's Sky, I mean, we're talking about a relatively inexperienced team that was basically saying, we're going to give you the first person EVE Online with everything you love about EVE Online and Minecraft and set it in space and just be amazing. And then we get it and it's just like, so it's Minecraft without all the fun stuff in space. Great.
It is funny because I had forgotten about No Man's Sky except for the, I believe it was the VGX, was it, that they introduced that on? Back when we covered the VGX every Christmas?
Oh, yeah. Was it? I thought they announced it at E3.
It was something that we were live streaming about, I'm pretty sure.
Mm.
I have vague recollections of being on that live stream. It may have been announced and then just they did a publicity thing at the other one.
Right.
Shannon and I were talking about this. We had a long car trip, and that's a great time to talk about video games. And we were talking about the oversaturation and also the achievements, because it's not just good enough to put out a video game. You need to milk it for all the replayability you possibly can.
Oh, yeah.
So you throw in more achievements than anybody's going to feasibly achieve, and all of the different difficulty modes and the playable characters and so events that happen at different times of the year, and all of these different things that keep on dragging you back for more, which in the 80s and 90s would have been wonderful because you love replaying games and you had all the time in the world to do it. And then all of a sudden, every game has all of these things. And so this is part of what broke the camel's back with the backloggery for me, of knowing that every single one of the games released in anywhere close to the modern era was going to have so much for me to work toward to call it 100% complete that I'd only be finishing a handful of games a year. Yeah. So I really revamped how I look at this. And when we were kids, or at least me, because I'm a contemporary of both of yours. When we were kids, we were kind of invincible. We were going to live forever. We had nothing else that was vying for our attention. We could waste.
We were also poor.
Well, yeah, but aside from that, we could waste an entire Saturday marathoning some game that we'd played 5 times, 10 times, 12 times, however many times before, and thought nothing of it because we'd always have next weekend to play the next game.
Yep.
Okay, to be fair, I still occasionally do that with Banjo-Kazooie. But Banjo-Kazooie is just perfect, so...
Well, I do that basically every year with Crystalis, or Chrysalis, depending on your regional accent.
I'm still trying to decide what to do about that for this year.
I don't know. I'm really stretching for ideas that have to do with gameplay, so I think we'd really need to do something outside the box.
Get Joe to play it. I still want to do the play it in Japanese and then do a translation, but I don't have the time now that I work full time.
Yeah. I still think some sort of art contest or comic collection or something might be fun, even if people have no drawing ability whatsoever, if it's just stick figures, or if it's sprite art or whatever. I think that would be a fun exercise, get people to do stuff that maybe they don't normally do.
Yeah, something fresh.
Because I enjoyed another one of the many things that I did during I'm technically still with GameCola, but I've been trying to phase myself out. Did Sprite Flicker comic, and I really enjoy doing that. Like my recording, it's a lot of work because it's not my thing. I'm not naturally, I'm a writer. I'm not naturally configured to do sprite art, but I still had fun doing it and plotting out the different comics that I wanted to do. And I have a couple more planned that I'm probably never going to put down, but maybe someday I'll sketch out some ideas for anybody bored enough to listen.
I'm just thinking about my attempt at a comic with real virtuality. That was quite an adventure.
I got nothing.
You were pretty reliable with the kinds of things that you worked on.
I don't feel like I was very reliable. Like, I did my short story.
In terms of predictability.
Yeah, I was always just trying to find something that really captured my attention for more than 3 installments, and stuff happened, and I didn't. I mean, I lost a little bit of the fire too, because it's just like I don't know. I get bored, not bored, or have trouble focusing. Maybe if I took a bunch of Adderall, I'd still be with GameCola. Jeddy, you got any Adderall?
I don't. I'm sorry.
No, it's. I did Quantum Geek for a while, and I was ready to finish that, and then I was trying to find, and then I did the podcast stuff for a while, and I actually found the podcast easier because it's okay, we're going to podcast tonight? Yeah, I'll be on there and I'll talk, as long as I don't have to edit it anymore, because I did that for a long time, and it drew me up the wall. I tried to, what's the other one? The Anger Dome. I tried to do this, the rant column, and I'm good at ranting, I just didn't stick with it, I guess, so. I'm terrible. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And probably every misfortune that has befallen GameCola is my fault. So, heap your scorn upon me is what I'm saying. What were we talking about?
How we're scorning you.
Oh, right. Oh, my God. I just really disappointed myself.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm looking through some of my old music directories. So I'm trying to update the music on my phone. I have Tainted Love down as a Clash song. That's terrible. God, Mike. Why? It's obviously soft sell. Why? I can't believe there was a time I didn't know that.
It is. And it is funny whenever okay, I have trouble deleting files.
Yeah, same. I'm doing it now because I have to. Yeah.
Or right click and delete. It's your choice.
Anyway, the point is that I still have a music folder where I used to download stuff off of Napster.
Ah, the old days.
There are so many mislabeled songs.
Yeah.
Yes, Napster was the king of mislabeled songs. Anything that was remotely humorous was attributed to Weird Al. Does not matter who did it. Weird Al was the only person that did comedy on the internet.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at this. There was a song that everyone thought that was System of a Down. It was like a Legend of Zelda song. It's like, Link, you come to a town
I have
to
that
save.
one.
Yeah, you remember that one?
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. It was this group called the Rabbit Joint, who I've never heard anything from ever again since that. But yeah, that was one of those things. It's just like System of a Down, Legend of Zelda. It's like, oh no, I didn't know the motherfuckers like Legend of Zelda. That's rad.
And now we get to bust out the NSFW tag for this podcast.
Sorry. To be fair, I live in Maryland, which is like the cursingest state in the nation.
Really?
Yeah, we really like to swear. That's all I got for you. You can just bleep me out. Is it still NSFW if I'm bleeped?
I don't think so.
Nope.
Well, if someone cares to do that, I can't. There was a time I liked Weezer. I forgot about that. They're okay, but not.
Was it 90s Weezer or was it early 2000s Weezer?
I think it was 90s Weezer. Like Island in the Sun, Buddy Holly. I'll keep Island in the Sun and Buddy Holly, but I'm going to get rid of Hash Pipe. You know, I feel like this is really appropriate for this Look Back episode. I mean, we're talking about like self-important navel gazing, and what is just more like tedious and self-reflective and something no one else cares about than like looking through your old music from like that I've been collecting since college. Like, so I have like a lot of ripped CDs in here, but a lot of it is stuff I got from Napster back in the day.
Yeah.
And like, who would care
But
about my crappy music tastes?
That's always been part of the appeal of GameCola, as I see it anyhow, is it's only somewhat been about the content on the site. It's been the people. We've had super fans come in who are genuinely interested in what the people who participate on the site are doing and what they're like. And it's sort of that cult of personality. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but that there's always been an interest in the people writing the articles as well as whatever we happen to generate.
That's fair. I mean, we do talk a lot about each other and
Nicktoons.
We're terribly self-referential.
We are. Yeah.
But that's part of the charm of it. At least for somebody like me, I love self-referential humor.
Right. We're not shy about the fact that we think we are our own greatest comedians. Like, I'm just the funniest dude. Like, for realsies.
I mean, we know that.
I've always wondered how people find the site.
I'm sorry, haven't you read Be Careful What You Search For?
Okay, and that's the thing, is that I've gotten it to the extreme now that we've updated the site and I get instant what the search terms were for every single day, as opposed to having to log into Google Analytics to see it. I regularly take screenshots and send them to Paul Franz and just be like, why? What was it? Princess Peach Feet Nintendo? Something like that? Like, okay, constantly...
That's awesome.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
For a Nintendo foot fetish song.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
These are all going to be golden, I know it.
Well, okay, I can tell you, every single day is like NES porn ROM, Game Boy porn, NSFW Game Boy.
Are we talking about like a sexy stripper Game Boy or Game Boy games?
Is like a Game Boy game that's like a sex game?
Hold on.
Or like the Game Boy Pocket that was translucent and you could see through it?
That thing was pretty hot.
I'm loading the stats. Sex NES games. Pokemon Silver NES, Last Brother Level Bender Futurama PS2, Ali Sheedy War Games.
What?
Wait,
this is all one search? That's gotta be like a bot.
No, I'm like going down the list. Wait, was that Ali Sheedy in War Games?
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was Matthew Broderick.
But Stray Souls backstory, game water closet. I'm shocked it actually took us that long to get to a SNES NSFW. What are the buttons on American Gladiators? I'm actually shocked.
That's awesome.
I'm actually shocked that there were that few quote naughty search terms. I'm used to basically every day being game NSFW PC.
Well, that's because Michael was, out over the weekend and couldn't be Googling things for you.
Yeah. So okay, do people actually Google NSFW?
Well, okay, apparently these aren't from Google because Google doesn't transfer the search terms to us.
So this is once they're on the site?
No, this is, I guess if they're using not Google?
What else is there?
Google. Not Google.
Okay.
Or, Elgoog. That's Google with a little pointy mustache.
NES porn games, then somebody searched for http://gamecole.net/2011/04/nsfw-water-closet-the-forbidden-chamber-pc/ Actually,
Oh, they did do a review of that game. I remember that vaguely.
Miss World 96 Nude Oina, Water Closet the Forbidden Chamber, Hello Kitty Big Fun Piano, NES Adult Game, Miss World 96 Nude Play. Also, by the way, if I go and I check the top pages by hits, Explicit Water Closet the Forbidden Chamber PC, Top of the Heap, the naughty side of the NES, Why the Phoenix Wright Characters Will Die Alone, NSFW Miss World 96 Arcade. Most, just to tell you the truth, just to warn you guys, most of the people that come to GameCola are looking for, oddly enough, sexy Game Boy games.
I think we've missed our calling.
Right?
I didn't know you could make a sexy Game Boy game.
I don't know if there are any. Maybe that's why they're all getting here, because they don't exist.
I mean, if you can do Custer's Revenge, you can do pretty much any platform.
I mean, I don't think that's particularly sexy. I'm Googling sexy Game Boy games right now. I'm curious what comes up.
What a wonderful last podcast to probably have.
So yes, just to let you know, the way that most people get to the site is by searching for sexy video games.
Okay, all right. So this is safe for work, but the first return for sexy Game Boy games takes you to MU Paradise and gives you a list of games with the tag sexy.
Oh.
And so the first one is Sexy Parodius.
I was just going to say.
Which I assume I've heard of Parodius. I'm not very familiar with it, though.
So I was on a Gradius kick, or a Konami kick, actually. That's where I got into Castlevania as well as Gradius, but several years ago. And so I was looking up all of the different Gradius games that they had available in the collections and things. So they had this Parodius spin-off series, which is just completely goofy, silly nonsense with the same kind of gameplay as Gradius.
Oh,
But then they had a Sexy Parodius, which had more scandalous, but still, I think, generally safe for work, just, like giggle tee-hee kind of naughty. That was a little, more ridiculous in that direction.
Fair. Okay, so here's the next one that really makes me laugh. Digimon World 4. Then it's Gal's Panic S2, which I think is one of those games where you have to shoot girls with a love gun and make them pass out. It sounds real bad. Then Mortal Kombat, Thrill Kill, which is a terrible PS1 game that was supposed to be like a 3D fighter, a little bit like Power Stone, but it was terrible and didn't get released. Then it's 10-pin Champions Alley.
Oh.
Mystique Club is next. Bishojo Sexy Derby. Sexy Droids. Another Sexy Parodius. Another Sexy Parodius. Oh, sorry, this is Sexy Parodius for Sony PlayStation, then Sexy Parodius for Sega Saturn. Sexy Blackjack. Another Bishojo Sexy Derby, which was, it's a Famicom game. Okay. Bishoujo Sexy Puzzle, another Famicom game. Bishoujo Sexy Slot, Famicom. Sexy Invaders for the Famicom. Sexy Yakyukan Adventure 2. Gal's Dungeon Part 2 for the Famicom. I guess there were sexy games.
Wow.
I guess probably just getting released here.
See, and
Late Night TV Sexy Show.
I guess that's the thing that always gets me, is that it's never that they're searching for, like, sexy PlayStation 2 games where, like, the graphics might actually be worth something. It's always, like, porn Game Boy game. And it's like, why? What are you going to look at? There's 4 colors of green.
Yeah. Like, okay, it's like more of these make sense. They sound like terrible takeoffs, like Strip Fighter 2, you know, another Sexy Parodius, Sexy Idol Mahjong, Pachinko Sexy Reaction, and Pachinko Sexy Reaction 2.
Oh.
And yet we haven't reviewed any of these games on the site. Look at all the traffic we could be driving to our site.
I think you should get someone to review Pachinko Sexy Reaction.
I think we need to find a specific person to review all of these games, just to make it their job.
What's Matt Gardner up to?
Well, that's a good point. That's a good question. He was the one who reviewed all those games back in the day.
Yeah, that's true.
So I guess he's the sole reason we have traffic. Is that what we're determining here?
Basically.
Well, I think you should send him an edible arrangement for all the work he has done and is continuing to do for the site because of his...
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
God, I really wonder how many disappointed people have come to GameCola.
Or worse yet, how many extremely appointed people.
I don't know. I don't think I want to know who's Googling GameCola with the hope of finding something that's going to arouse them.
I have a text file that I keep where I keep all of my favorite be careful what you search for that are kind of a list of what's going to be on the next one. And I have a list of ones filed under sexy. 1999 space Windows Peach Princess strong sexual content. The Nintendo game with naked people.
Well, I mean, that's pretty straightforward.
Classy girls get naked playing game. Tekken sexy lady photo. Honestly, most of these are kind of not that great, like PC sex.
That's, that's what I would expect. I don't understand people who would make a whole long search term where it's just like, I'm looking for something very specific. Princess Peach foot.
Yeah,
sexy video game.
Yeah.
You know what the funny part about this is? That we're talking about the sexy search terms being the things that drive traffic and get the most attention on GameCola, and this being our 100th podcast is probably going to get more attention than the majority of our other podcasts. So we're just perpetuating this by talking about this.
If someone wants
it's a vicious sexy cycle, Nathaniel.
If someone wants to search for upside down penis and then come tell us what you found on GameCola by searching for that.
I mean, I'll do it right now.
Sometimes I go and I try to search for some of these just to see how did they come across this, how far did they have to click into the results to get this.
Okay, hold on. Alright, so I searched for upside down penis GameCola to kind of cut to the gist. It is a Kane and Lynch 2 Dog Days review.
Oh, okay.
The operative words being
upside down.
Oh, okay. So here's the little bit that it is. It quotes, "The first screenshot is Kane absolutely naked. Draw your gaze away from the censored penis, which looks like a letter Y upside down."
Oh, okay. Is that why I get... Sorry. Okay, yeah. There was another one that was literally penis Y. and that
one. We've written so much weird stuff over the years that it is intersected with perverted search terms.
Well, I mean, I will also say I have a section for Phoenix Wright. I have a section for beards, ancient Persian beards, Do Chambers Mind beards, RPG game with beards, Phoenix Wright. Who Phoenix Wright wife? Phoenix and Franziska get married. Miles Edgeworth moving images.
Packing up boxes, loading them into a truck.
Oh, I was thinking, that they would be just so moving. And I mean, I'm guessing that they're trying to look for like a GIF of Edgeworth.
So if you were to Google who Phoenix Wright wife GameCola, the first one that would pop up is why the Phoenix Wright characters will die alone.
Ouch.
Yeah, right? Oh, man.
Maybe the secret here is to figure out what the more popular search terms are just in general, and then start crafting articles toward those search terms.
Yeah.
I do think that's
which I'm sure other websites do.
Yeah,
but...
I was just going to say, yeah.
Just, put tags all along the bottom, Princess Peach, Sexy Foot, Nintendo, Sexy Famicom.
Hold on. There's an unsorted area down at the bottom. Electricity joke. Crash over mutant tickle. Disappointed Putin face. Images for reasons why brothers are special.
The mutant tickle thing is a Crash Twinsanity review. The lines it returns are, and this is just where it starts. Does that tickle your fancy? The later released Mind Over Mutant is a pretty fucking solid game by all accounts, but Crash Bandicoot has. I'm sorry. I was just reading. Should have bleeped that.
But you know what? We're probably gonna NSFW this podcast anyhow.
All right.
I'll see what I can do. Maybe I can put in comical, Mario jump sound effects or something.
I don't think there are enough sound effects in the Mario franchise to bleep out all the sexiness that we've been relishing, or whatever the word is, that we've been verbing in this whole time. Reveling,
yeah, that's
I think is what I was going for. Because now you've completely destroyed my family-friendly image, so thanks for that.
Sorry. No one will ever go to NathanielHoover.com again.
I mean, maybe if they type in, something weird into Google, like Mega Man, fetish, Snake Man.
I haven't even looked into the analytics for my website.
Please do. Please. I would love to know, what weird search terms get people to you on the internet.
Mega Man Nintendo feet. I just want to draw a picture of a Peach with... NES, consoles for feet. Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
So it has been an hour and 15 minutes approximately.
But it feels like 4.
It'll feel like 4 to whoever's listening.
I mean, that's the thing that I always wondered about, especially when we were undergoing some of the format changes way back in the earlier issues of the podcast, of what is it that people actually gravitate toward this podcast for? They just pop in because they like the people who are there? Do they like the conversation topics? Is it the dynamic between some of the individuals? Is it because we're funny or thoughtful? What is it specifically that people like to hear in these podcasts? And have we, in the minds of the public, have we gotten better over time? Have we gotten worse over time? Is it just sort of a crapshoot every time you show up and hear a podcast?
My understanding is basically, they came for the Phoenix Wright and they stayed for the comical banter.
Yeah.
But that said, speaking to our actual listeners who are currently listening, that means you. It would be interesting to hear what you have had to say, especially you, the one who, only listens to these on YouTube and never visits our actual internet website, GameCola.net, Gaming Outside the Mainstream. For you to actually go on and say, hey, I've been listening, for at least once. This is what I liked about the podcast. This is what landed me here. This is what sexy search term I was searching for. And this is what why
You should just have a guest book for sexy visitors.
Do websites still have guest books?
They should. Visit
my web ring.
Let's return to the time of Angel Fire and Friendster.
Yes.
If you can believe it, I was just talking about Angel Fire the other day.
I can believe it.
Okay.
That was a very important part of late 90s.
I was at work, and I was talking about Lycos to a coworker. And we went to Lycos.com, and it's still around, and it's actually not a bad search engine. Like, it's very ad-free.
Huh.
Like, it was clean and open, like we had just been to Yahoo, and it was just, like, covered in ads, and half of the, like, articles and stuff were just, like, clear clickbait garbage. And then we went to Lycos, and it was just so clean, and it had, relevant results.
I had been using some of the alternate ones for a while there. I was sad to see Ask Jeeves go on a permanent vacation.
Really?
They had this whole little story written up about Jeeves departing, and it was a little touching, actually.
Uh-huh.
And Dogpile was another one that I used that doesn't sound like a great search engine, but that was when our school was actively encouraging us to try multiple search engines to look for stuff.
I think Dogpile is a favorite of Paul Franzen.
Hmm.
There was always, was it Rocket Search, the one that, like, tried to force itself to be your homepage all the time because you installed something?
I mean, it's generally what they all do nowadays. I mean,
Bonsai Buddy.
hell, every time I update Java, it's just like, do you want to make Yahoo your new homepage? And I'm just like, they filed for bankruptcy. Why would I want to do that? Yeah, I have a lot of confidence that Yahoo's going to really make it. Gene Wilder died today. How effed up is that?
Right? I had no clue he was so old.
I mean, he's been around for a while. I was kind of just waiting for it at this point.
I got to half meet him, actually. The place where I used to live, he lived in the same town. And I got out to the local little indie movie theater they have there, and every year they did Gene's Picks, and Gene Wilder would come out for a screening of one of the movies, any one of the movies in his body of work. And at the end of the movie, so they do just one movie a year, and at the end he'd come out for a Q&A session. And so I got to be there, it was 5 or 6 years ago now, and got to ask him a question about the movie, and so it was pretty cool. So I actually got to interact with him a little bit and hear him talk with people. So
that's really rad.
It was pretty cool. And at the time, he definitely was looking a little ill. So it wasn't entirely a surprise when I heard the news, because having seen him 5 or 6 years ago, struggling a little bit, I knew that he wasn't in great condition. But
fair enough.
You always read those stories and you look at that whole, wow, I had no idea they did all of these different amazing things throughout their career. I just know them for these 3 things. And it makes me think about another one of the things, going back to the video game conversation of, what am I doing with my life? And yes, it's fun to play video games, but I don't just want to be a consumer. I want to put things out there. I want to make the world a better place in some capacity by what I'm producing for other people to enjoy. And so I've been focusing more on trying, that's why I've been doing more of the live streaming, why I've been getting back into recording Mega Man videos, because I know those make an impact. I've had multiple people tell me how rotten their day was and how it completely cheered them up to watch my video, or have people tell me about just any number of things going on in their personal lives and how my work has made an impact on them. So it's that kind of thing that I want to focus on more as I'm, and I'm not all that old, but I definitely feel older. And that it's things like this that make me want to do more than just sit in my house and play Chrono Trigger for the umpteenth time, as fun as that would be.
See, I'm on the complete opposite side. It's like I've procreated, I've fulfilled my biological function in life. So I've put something out there, and, I do good work. I work at Space Telescope Science Institute. We do science. And it's like, hey, I'm peaked. I'm just going to play Chrono Trigger for the umpteenth time. That's not true. I get out. But also, just a lot of nights it's, someone has to stay home because of, you can't leave a child home alone without a chaperone.
Unless they're Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, well, That kid was a sociopath, and they probably left him there hoping something would happen. There's actually a compilation video of every time Harry and Marv, the Wet Bandits, get hurt, and like what injury they should have sustained. They should have been dead multiple times over. Like they got like a paint can, like a full paint can to the face.
Yeah, that's the first one I think about.
Yeah, they fell through multiple stories in the second one. Joe Pesci had his head lit on fire. Comical. They stepped on like nails pointing straight up. This is like some Saw level stuff right there. Like Jigsaw is probably just like this Macaulay Culkin, this Kevin McAllister kid. He's good. He's good. He knows what he's doing. Let me take some notes. Why am I talking about Home Alone?
Because this is one of our weirder podcasts, and we just got to commit to it.
But you have a kid, and one of you can only have a social life at a time. So one goes out, the other stays in. The other goes out, the other stays in, and sometimes you're lucky enough to find a babysitter. So,
or you can do what most people I know do, and just bring the kid with you, and that becomes everyone else's social life if they want to hang out with you.
Yeah, see, we don't want to be that couple. We also don't want to be the couple who brings our kid to the seedy neighborhood bar, who will let your kid be there, but everyone knows you shouldn't have them there.
Yeah, there have been a couple of times where I've been out in public and really not in situations where there should be small children present. For example, the movie Watchmen. When that came out, saw it in the theaters, and there's all the blood and guts and gore and everything that's going on. And then there's a quiet moment in the middle of the movie, and from the very back I hear, "Daddy, I love you." And that kind of creeped me out, that you're going to have that small a child in this kind of a movie.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I remember hearing about that controversy, and it was like people felt like, oh, this is a superhero movie. Oh, we're going to go see a superhero movie as a family. It's like, this is Watchmen. There's a reason it's rated R.
So, is it about time to wrap this up then?
It's probably about time to wrap this up. At this point, some random subject comes up like Home Alone, and we have to spend 5 to 10 minutes talking about it.
Isn't this true GameCola podcast fashion?
It really is.
So we've done our job here.
Yeah.
We started with Doug. We ended with Home Alone.
God damn, I hate that show.
We might have talked about video games.
Yes, we were going to talk about Earthbound.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was a good game.
Yeah. Love it. All right.
I mean, because you proposed Earthbound as a topic, and I thought, I kind of wrote everything I was ever going to say about Earthbound in my the last post, the last big post that I wrote. And I'm like, I don't know, hope you guys have something to say, and well, we successfully dodged that issue.
I guess I was just worried that we wouldn't have something to talk about.
You have Michael on the podcast. That you don't need to worry about that.
All I have to do is say Doug.
That show. God, it was like the worst Nicktoon. I mean, I enjoyed Rugrats. Rugrats was fine.
Oh, Rugrats.
Everyone hates Rugrats, but I thought Rugrats was fine.
Everybody likes Rugrats except me. Mostly because I don't like babies.
Oh.
Well,
that'll be podcast 101.
Oh, no. Podcast 101 should be a tutorial. Because that's, it's just asking for it.
But, how to be a GameCola podcast.
So, I mean, is this it, Mike? Is this, our last podcast, us old fogey retirees?
I mean, it doesn't have to be. You want to do a new GameCola podcast, Nathaniel? Just you and me? Basically being old men sitting on a porch and rocking chairs, saying back in my day?
Oh, yeah. I keep wanting to do some other RPG cast, but the amount of effort that goes into that and the time and the preparation, and then organizing people to get them together, and then editing everything afterwards, and then troubleshooting all the technical stuff that inevitably happens. So much effort.
So, it is. It'd be fun, though. And you wouldn't even really have to, because I was thinking about this the other day. Maybe I could even run it. We'll see. Have either of you seen Stranger Things?
No, but my wife has, and I've heard a little bit about it from her.
It's quite good. That's
not what she said.
Well, your wife is wrong. I'm not going to equivocate on that. But the D&D is a big part of that, and so it occurred to me, it's like, yeah, someone could just run like a quick little D&D game based off of Stranger Things and see, you know, how it plays out. Everyone would probably die, but you know,
so
it seemed like a fun thing to do.
So here's the thing, since you know, clearly neither of you were on the GameCola family game night that was this past Friday.
We missed it, yeah.
There was, at the end, an impromptu D&D cast, RPG cast.
Nice.
Nice.
We were trying to figure out what to do, and they just randomly, while I was searching through my games list, started talking about having an RPG cast again, and then they just started doing one. Joe just kind of led us through some sort of train murder mystery adventure, while I drew vaguely related pictures in Mario Paint. But anyway, I do believe that this podcast is wrapping up, so thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Nathaniel, for being here. It was an interesting trip down memory lane.
So every 100 podcasts, do we get a prize?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I showed up.
Okay, who... I'm holding them in my hand. Which one of you wants the Sonic the Hedgehog 20th anniversary?
I knew it was going to be the Sonic the Hedgehog anniversary shot glass.
Mini glasses. These are for...
Mini glass.
These are for people not of drinking age.
I'll take whatever's in the other hand. I don't care about Sonic.
You get, for the PlayStation 3, Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 Remix.
Black or red label?
Red.
I already have that.
It's the PlayStation 3 greatest hits.
Yeah, I got that already. Fine, I'll just send you my address. You can send it to me anyway. Good times.
Woo!
Sadly, we did not get to do Paul's suggestion for our 100th podcast, which was 100
When have we ever
hours.
taken Paul's suggestions?
The 50-hour podcast or whatever. Sorry, 10 hour. It was only 10 hours for our 10th anniversary podcast 50.
I mean, to be fair, this feels like it.
But
It's me. I'm letting you down, guys. I'm sorry.
But yes, sadly, we did not have...
Some things never change, huh?
We did not have a 100-hour...
I laugh because it's true.
live stream.
It's just the desert bus of podcasting.
So,
You know we're going to be rated because we're not the only 100th podcast around here. They're going to compare us with the Michael Gray podcast and the Joe McMuffin podcast.
That's right.
What's
Sorry,
his name?
See... Joe McMuffin?
I'm sorry. I blanked for a second.
So, yeah, I thought you were...
Little-known McDonald's mascot, Joe McMuffin.
Sorry, I when you said we're not the only 100th podcast out there, I was just thinking, like, wow, there's all these other podcasts that people are going to be comparing us to.
Not what he meant at all.
Yeah, like I thought you meant like other sites that have other podcasts, and people are going to go and search for podcasts with 100 episodes, and they're going to be like, this GameCola 100th podcast was nothing compared to the GameCola.com.
That would
podcast.
be interesting. I want to meet that person if they're out there.
I listened to all 100 episodes.
I only listen to Centennial podcasts.
They're not good unless they've got full 100. 99.
Listen, you know, podcasts are like a good wine. You need to let it age.
So is this the Vinegar podcast?
Yes. This podcast is long since spoiled.
Again, I'm sorry.
This cola has gone flat. So thank you, everyone, for listening. This was the 100th GameCola podcast, part 2, I suppose, if you're listening to this after Michael Gray's podcast and before Joseph McMuffin's podcast.
Even if you're not listening to it in that specific order, it's still probably part 2.
If you were... See, you could, of course, start with this podcast. Or you could finish off with this fine podcast. Either way, save the best for last. But yes, either way, whatever order you listen to it in, thank you for listening. Thank you for choosing GameCola.net for all your gaming outside the mainstream needs. Please visit our actual internet website, GameCola.net. You can visit us on YouTube if that's not where you're listening. We are gc.net, the letter G, the letter C, the word dot, and the word net. We are on iTunes, where you can download this, or do people use iTunes? I don't even know anymore. Like, most people I know just use Spotify. Like, is that a thing?
Well, we're on iTunes anyhow.
Yes,
You're
we're
talking
there.
to the wrong person.
Assuming you like what we did. If not, we're not there. Don't rate us.
Yes. Don't rate us low, only rate us high. We're on Facebook. You can search for GameCola. We're on Twitter, @GameCola. We tweet and book things. You can email us. You can email podcast@gamecola.net and email us your questions, your comments. Yep, that was good. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Of course. My pleasure.
My pleasure.
My pleasure est. Well, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
This is from James, and he wanted to let us know that it was a really entertaining podcast.
The 4th episode just ends at this cliffhanger where you're like, I have to sit and watch all 20 episodes now.
Yeah, it literally ended with the cliffhanger ending.
Anna, what do you think?
I don't think I could get internet out there.
That's a given, yeah.
Yeah, but what about Ohio? Doesn't Ohio have...
I don't know. Ask Paul. Where's Paul?
Eggnoggin's awesome.
I use Winamp as well, not Winamp 2.
Oh, I had my 2-year this summer.
It's funny because you're comparing Paul to the Golden Girls.
Oh dear. There's the bar in Majora's Mask. It is a milk bar in Majora's Mask.
That's a Zelda reference.
I'm just going to leave a tape recorder at the GameCola table and see what happens.
Never mind, we weren't talking about anything important, Jeddy.
Oh, man. I'm so disappointed.
I know. He always sounds like he's saying something very interesting, too, but...